Hi! So today, I'm taking the leap. I am going to be reviewing a book that I probably wouldn't have normally read, but it seems like everyone in the world has read and is talking about. So I wanted to get on the wagon, give it a chance, and now I'm reviewing it. And I'm scared that I'm going to piss off a legion of diehard people. That book is none other than The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I will say this. I have never read a John Green novel before, and until recently had never even heard the man's name. But a lot of people love it. It's not something I normally would read, but I gave it a chance and I tried to go in with an open mind. Now, to put your worries at ease, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I thought it was very funny, it was warm, it was entertaining, it was a quick read. It took me probably 4 hours tops to read it. I felt that the characters were engaging. I felt there was a lot of interesting ideas. I didn't think that it was overtly childish. I thought there was some sophisticated ideas in there, and you can totally tell that John Green is a nerd and throws in a lot of references. One that I found hilarious was naming a hamster Sisyphus, which brings me no end of joy. That is hilarious to me. So, a couple things I wanted to talk about. The criticisms I've seen, which I stayed away from any reviews of this book or any reviews of the movie. I read it right as the movie was coming out. I also stayed away from Goodreads or anything that would give me any bias about it until after I had read it for myself. But after I read it, I looked at the criticisms to see what other people thought. And a lot of them, there's two main points that I feel are thrown out a lot and really aren't fair or very valid. The first is that a book about cancer has been done before, so why do it? But that's ridiculous. Because something's been written about before does not mean that you can't write about it. I mean, that's like saying, it's like that's like telling Shakespeare, "Oh, well, love's been written about before, so there's no reason to write Romeo and Juliet." Um, or any classic novel. Uh, every story has already been told. There are theories about the limited number of stories that we really have, but it's the details that make them different. So yeah, sure, there are stories about cancer patients and kids and romance, but the overall plot, sure, but it's the details that make a story important or worthwhile. So just because some idea has been gone over before doesn't mean that a fresh perspective won't illuminate more of that idea. I think Hemingway has a quote where he says, "All men die, and it is only the details of how they lived that differentiate them," or something to that effect. Uh, and it's the same with books. I mean, all stories begin and end, and it's really the details of how they go along that differentiate them. We've had the hero's journey, the road story. There are only so many major types of story. So I think that criticism is fairly invalid. The fact that it's just been done before. Sure, so has climbing Everest. It doesn't make it any less of an impressive feat when you do it. So the other criticism is that they fall in love too fast. And some people believe in love at first sight and some don't, but even for those who don't, I feel like if you really look at it logically, it makes sense. They fall in love over the course of a couple weeks, days, months, whatever. But the idea really is they both know that time is limited. So, as a teenager, where you feel these things anyway over the top because your hormones are raging, at the same time, you know that your days are numbered, so you would just go head first into any of these things. So it's not really that hard for me to suspend my disbelief that they could fall passionately in love in that short amount of time. So I don't think that's very fair criticism either. Um, I mean, there are a lot of other criticisms of it as well. Some people thought the dialogue was boring. I thought it was very funny, and I thought it was intelligent, and I really enjoyed the banter. There were a lot of points made by both Hazel and Gus, and a lot of people said that they were the same person, but I don't feel that that's true. I feel that their outlook on things was ultimately very different. They just had very similar personalities and a sense of humor, which happens a lot. I mean, I have friends who just got married who you could say the same thing about, who are very similar in the things that they enjoy and like and their sense of humor. And so often people think that they're the same person, but that's not true either. They're just really well matched. So I loved it. Obviously, I knew some stuff. I knew someone was going to die. I honestly didn't know that Gus was going to die, but that makes sense. Personally, I kind of wish there was closure with Peter and how that story ends and what happens to Anna's mother. But I guess that's the whole point, right? That there isn't any closure, or it's up to you. But having never read a John Green novel, I did find that there were a lot of really interesting literary nuggets dropped throughout. And so it made me really interested to go and read his other stuff. And I can't say that that book was bad. I really enjoyed it. Did it change my life? No. Did I cry? No. And that's not to say it wasn't sad, and I definitely am not one of those people who's too manly to admit that they cry. There are other books that have made me cry like a little baby. But it's difficult for a book to do that. It just is. Really good. I would suggest that you read it if you want something that's funny, but also have some deeper meaning to it, and quite possibly would change your outlook on life. So that's what I have to say about it. I thought it was really good, really well written, really well done. Thought the dialogue was charming, and I am motivated to go read his other work, which is a good thing for any author, really, to have one of your books kind of lead people down the path of all your others. Did it make me want to rush out and buy them right away? No. But part of that is also because they are kind of outside of the realm of books that I would normally read. But like I said, open mind, and I was rewarded with a really charming story that I enjoyed. So anyway, those are my thoughts about The Fault in Our Stars. Let me know what you thought or think in the comments below, and feel free to start a discussion about it. As always, until I see you again, good reading and enjoy life.